Hey, folks.
Hey, everybody. We're having technical difficulties again, believe it or not. It should be on.
All right.
We might have to switch microphones if it died.
Ha.
They're right here, right.
All right. Well, I can't hear myself, but I was told the mic is on. So, anyone's watching, we are going to assume you can hear me. I'm glad we got the mics figured out before the end of the first end here on sheet 5. Watching the TCCA Invitational, the finals going on right now. Being played between teams Dolan and team RNG. Team Dolan without the hammer in this first end. Throwing the red rocks, I believe. And in a pretty good spot so far, sitting 3. Have a chance here to really sit in a great spot with a lot of rocks in the 4-foot and not a whole lot of access for the yellow team. Interesting call here from Team Dolan, trying to nose the yellow one to sit 4, I believe. Could decide to throw the guard up again that they just had. But the prospect of sitting 4 all in front of the tee line, protecting that 4-foot is nice. That is a little bit unfortunate there. As he's a little bit wide, ends up crashing, or excuse me, running the rock into the rock that was on the button. And now a little bit of a switch here. Team RNG sits 1. Trying to find a way to make the most of the opportunity here. Eric Quisgard, the 3rd for Team RNG. Looking to, I think, just play a hit and roll, sit probably 2nd or 3rd count, and move a couple of these red stones out of the front of the rings.
Yeah. I assume that's what you're driving these days? Yeah. On a nice day.
Not a bad shot there. Leaves Team RNG sitting 1, 3, and I think 5. And Team Dolan now having to make a little bit of a tougher shot than they would have liked, seeing how the end set up a few rocks ago. But if he's able to get two yellows out, don't think the damage will be too bad. Working hard on this one. Wasn't able to make the double. Did kill one. The yellow rock. And again, Team RNG really kind of getting out of a tough spot with that miss from Team Dolan a few rocks ago. Now trying to figure out best way to make the most of it. Best way to capitalize. Try to score 2 or 3. Team RNG representing the Chaska Curling Center. And Team Dolan representing St. Paul Curling Club. I was just at St. Paul Curling Club actually last night watching a little bit of the 5 and Under Nationals, which is still going on today. They got the finals that kicked off, I believe, 15 or so minutes ago. That was nice. Nice getting to watch a little bit of that. I think that's a great national championship that we run. Definitely a lot of excitement in the curling club for that one. And now decision time a little bit here for Team Dolan. Do they try the hit and roll and risk not killing 2 yellows and giving RNG a shot for 3? Or make the double, give them potentially an easier shot for 2, but going to the second end only down 2. And believe they decided to play the double and try to roll a little bit under the red-yellow we got in the middle there. Just got to curl just a bit. And I think that's going to do it, actually. I think that leaves Team Dolan sitting first and second shot. And Team RNG will have no option but to hit for their 1 point. I think if you're Team Dolan, you would take that after what happened a couple of rocks ago. A little bit of an unfortunate miss there from Greg Jameson, but got out of the end, only giving up 1. As long as Team RNG is able to make the hit.
So if we won't power off, I don't know if I got. Yeah, basically.
This one looking good. Just a nice clean in. And all right, that will be 1 for Team RNG out of the Chaska Curling Center. Fun end, a lot of rocks in play. You see a lot of teams, especially in big games, that try to play it very open in the first end, potentially blank, try to get used to the ice. So I'm glad we got to see a lot of rocks in play and see them going after it to start.
Hopefully the mic didn't pick that up. That's good.
1. Chase Eberling leading off the second end for Team RNG. Looking for a center guard here. Again, trying to get after it early on in the game. I like that. Not a lot of blanks. Let's go. Let's play curling, not play can you hit the rock in front of you. Barely gets by the guard, ends up in a really good spot. Top 8. Gonna make Team RNG throw the freeze, follow him down. Sweepers like it so far. I think it might be a little bit heavy. And that is a very nice freeze by Chase Eberling. Max Smith, the lead for this Dolan rink here. Team Dolan playing three-handed, not exactly sure why. I'm sure someone can tell me in the chat. And that is another very nice shot there. Moves the yellow rock into the open. Does potentially leave Team RNG with a double on the reds. But either way, good shot. Opening up that yellow. Chris Scott throwing second rocks for Team RNG. Looking for the double is Team RNG, and it's going to get the first one and roll to the side. Now Team Dolan here, if they can make the hit and roll out to the wing, is going to be in a good position to score there too. There is the center guard there, which is a saving grace for RNG, but don't think they'll be able to use it until they deal with some of the red rocks that are going to be in the rings after this. Greg Jamison working hard on the sweep on this one. Got to get by the center guard and make the roll. Won't make the roll to the wing, but does roll under, which is also pretty good. No easy hits for the RNG rink. Looks like they'll elect to just grab one of the reds, try to stay half buried under that guard. Play a little bit of a positional battle here with about half the end remaining. Curl just a bit. Hits one, hits two. Doesn't kill both, and a little unfortunate, pushing the red rock out to almost frozen on the yellow rock on the edge of the 12-foot there. But nothing under cover anymore. Greg Jameson throwing the middle three rocks for Team Dolan. Golf pro by day, curler by night, or perhaps curler by afternoon, considering it is only 2:30. Comes up a little bit short. And now the door open just a little bit for Team RNG. Eric Queisgard has a chance to draw under the two center guards they got here and put some pressure on red.
About 202. Yeah. How do you put all your weight in it? I work with him, you know. Everything I sit right next to him. And he was like, man, I don't know my weight next to you.
Looking for this one to finish up at the end here, get the distance and the line right. And that is a very nice shot from Eric. Right under the center guard, touching the 4-foot. Team Dolan looks like they'll have to peel to try to get access to that rock.
Did anyone get close? Did anyone get close? That's or they got a fire one. I was trying to time keep on.
Might get the double peel here. Not quite. Ends up, unfortunately, pushing that red one towards the center line. That is not easy to do with the way those rocks were lined up. And I think Team RNG could throw a center guard. Could come back under. Looks like they're going to go with a center guard here.
All right, Connor, I'm back in it with you.
Joe, good to have you here. Glad we were able to get the mics figured out.
Yeah, we might have to play with them a little bit in the future, but
that's a future problem. That is not a current problem.
That's right. That's right. So catch me up to speed here. It looks like RNG. Were they forced to win, or did they steal one here?
RNG was forced to win. It was actually looking like a really good steal setup for Team Dolan for most of the end. And then Greg Jameson, they tried to throw a nose hit, just ran a little bit on him, ended up hitting a rock off the button that they had in a good spot, and kind of opened the door for RNG. They looked like they might score 2 or 3 for a while, but a good hit and roll from Chris Dolan on his last to really force RNG to just take their single. Didn't have a great opportunity for multiples. So I think both teams pretty happy to get out of that end with the result they got.
Yeah. Jameson being asked to hit again. We called the Dolan game last draw, and I think they They were sort of share high, share low on some of their hits earlier, but they got dialed in, so I expect Greg to be making those hits as the ends go on here.
Yeah, and especially as you get, more into the game, you get a little more confident, get a better read on the ice. I expect the misses will tighten up a little bit. So that shot there, not much of a miss. Pretty good shot, all things considered.
We were bidding a project just last week.
So RNG looking pretty good here. Are they just throwing another guard, or are they looking to come in?
I think they're throwing another center guard. I think being up one without hammer in the second end, you are content with what you got going on right now, and no need to force anything else to happen. Lob some guards up there for as long as Team Dolan will hit them, and make him make a draw to the full 4 foot on his last if they continue to peel. That rock a shade heavy, ends up kind of splitting that center guard off a little. Not enough to give Dolan access straight to the yellow rock on the 4 foot. But a couple of different opportunities for some run backs, maybe a double peel. Gives them a few more options than they had previously.
Yeah, I think it looks like they're just kind of weighing out. A double's coming, but which one do they want to hit? Looks like he's hitting the closer one here.
Yeah, and I think that's probably what I would do if I were them. I mean, skips first.
He's sitting second shot in a pretty good spot over that yellow. I like this. It draws the attention away from that.
Yeah, just trying to give yourself some opportunity to, if you get a little bit of a miss, my team RNG on their skips last to maybe make a shot for two.
I wasn't here.
All right, well, apparently my other mic had died, so we switched back.
Well, it's not dead yet, but when one of these dies, I want to make sure Connor's lives, and I'll play the charging game while Connor gives you the play-by-play.
I am sorry to everybody watching. That means you're going to have to listen to me instead of Joe. But boom. All right, the run back attempt got the yellow rock out from under the center guard. Didn't quite get it out of play, unfortunately. Does leave Team RNG a chance to Christmas tree here, or be a little heavy on the draw and tap the yellow back a couple feet and flop inside. So it's looking to be a force for Team Dolan in this end.
Really got to get low on this. If you stay high, you could set up a possible double on this. So
yeah, you gotta make sure to not give them an easy double. As long as you do that, like you said, get a little bit low. Really working hard on this one to get by the guard. Doesn't quite make it past, but I think the result's going to be the same. Team Dolan's got a draw for one.
Yep.
And similar to the first end, I think that both teams would take this result the way the end went. Dolan okay to score their single. RNG very much okay to give one to the opponent when they have hammer.
Chris Dolan had to essentially draw the lid in the game before this to make it to the championship game, and he did not disappoint. So outturned as well on that. So expecting something in the 4 foot here.
He popped up right away. I think they thought this was light. Now they're off it. They seem less worried about it now. No need for worry at all. Puts it on the button for the single.
Dolan continues to deliver.
Dolan continuing to be sharp when his team needs him, make draws. And we will go into the third end, tied at 1 apiece. All right. Max Smith starting off this third end. Max Smith on the championship team of this event a year ago, looking to repeat in 2025. That rock, I believe, just catches the center line. Not playing the no-tick rule here, but definitely, at least for me, a part of my brain that's tough to turn off sometimes. Playing lead on my men's team, when you miss the center line, you feel pretty bad about it, regardless of the situation. So, nothing to feel bad about there from Chase Ebeling. Puts that rock squarely on the button, right underneath that center guard. Max Smith will be asked to come down and freeze to it, much like we saw in the second end.
Can I give you a little scavenger here? So this particular, that's a USB-C. If I could find a USB-C to a USB-C, basically an extension of itself, I could plug this into the battery pack, and I think we'd be good to go. Clay has a box of cords, and I don't know if we were looking for a USB-C to a USB-C. So.
That freeze attempt just a little bit wide, a little bit heavy. This one curling a little bit earlier than they expected. I think it's going to be okay. We're going to roll away, and we'll sit right there. Does give Team Dolan a chance to make a nice freeze into the pocket, or they can make a little hit and flop onto the yellow rock, as he just indicated there. Throwing firm weight at this, so not taking very much broom, trying to get himself a flat roll, as those yellow rocks are quite even. Working hard to keep it off the guard, and it will crash. Just a shade tight there from Max Smith.
Pretty aggressive shot from the beginning. Especially with that weight, I think they were almost hoping to get enough weight to lose one and push one to the back 12. I think hitting both and sitting in the forefeit all by yourself would have been a little more conservative.
Yeah, that was my first thought as well when I saw the firm for the weight call. I was thinking maybe throw more like control, give yourself a little bit extra room around the guard. You can still make that flop onto the yellow. You didn't need to get both yellow rocks out right then. You have 5 rocks left in the end for your team. Plenty of time to clear that guard, take care of the second yellow.
So obviously a double's there. RNG wants to guard that, but is this where you're going if you have hammer and you want to lie 3 somewhere?
Yeah, I think if it's me, I'd prefer to throw a center guard. Try to throw something a little higher, keep it out of the rings. Don't want to give Team Dolan a chance to make a triple. That one quite heavy, ends up working out okay. They do still sit 3. Potential for a triple there. Rocks look to be at right angles, which if you've ever talked to Kevin Martin or listened to his podcast at all, that's kind of what he talks about as being the way to check if a triple is there. You look and see, are the 3 rocks at right angles to each other? If they are, then it's possible. You're going to make it with the shooter.
I think if it curls up, the single double would be there, but it looks like even that's going over the...
Good enough.
Yeah, good enough.
Good work on the brush there from Max Smith, getting that one to curl just enough to catch the back yellow, make the double. Now Chris Scott will be asked to just nose this red rock, Try to keep these yellows as far spread out as they can. This one tight out of his hand. Chase Ebeling really going to have to work on this one to get to the nose of the red. Don't want to roll in if you can avoid it.
So opportunity miss for RNG. Juice was looking like it was available, but we'll see. Team Dolan really control shot placement here, and we'll see if RNG chooses to blank.
Yeah, and I would imagine that if given the opportunity, Team RNG would blank the end. If you can, tied score, you always like blanking odd ends, get hammer into the evens, try to score in the even ends, just so when the 8th end comes, you have a chance to score and have hammer in the last end of the game.
Greg a little wide on that take-up, but got the job accomplished, but it's going to give RNG an opportunity to put this stone where they want it.
Yeah, we are, on my competitive men's team, we play with Sam Strauss, who some people watching may or may not know, but we counted on the season. He throws last rocks for us. We counted on the season, and on open rings, draws to the back quad, he's like 16 of 17.
Wow.
I think he missed 1 all year long on just open draws to the back quad. Don't know quite what it is, but he threw the wrong turn once, but the man is automatic.
So he made the back quad, but it just wasn't the back quad that you were hoping for?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the one that was called, but
A back quad is a back quad.
open rings, it don't matter. You can throw the out turn, you can throw the in turn. The
Sure.
broom was about the same for both.
Thrower's choice.
We got Troy here behind us in the booth. Troy, do you have any words of wisdom you'd like to add as we watch this third end kind of turn into a blank?
No, I've kind of been focused on our Four Seasons clubs over here on 2 and 3, so I don't know what's going on in this game.
Fair enough, fair enough. Troy, the TCCA rep for the Four Seasons, got into curling how many years ago?
3 now, 3 years.
All right. And what was your kind of journey getting involved in the TCCA, being the Four Seasons rep? How'd that all come to be?
I got to know Jose Chapa, and he kind of handed me the job last summer, I'd say. We were talking. I think we talked at the banquet last year, and then he got me involved and got me connected, and went to the first meeting in August and took it from there.
That's awesome. I mean, the TCCA does a lot of really great work. I played in the Big Spiel a number of years, and that's always a fun event. If you haven't played in it, you definitely should. And yeah, glad to have people representing our clubs and representing this sport that, like you said, are so new, haven't played for 3 years. I think that's really great. The amount of enthusiasm we have around the sport right now. So, thanks for hopping on. Chris Dolan really wanted to make sure he had a good eye on the line there. Followed that one down all the way to the far hog line. I think if I tried to do that, my knee might explode. But it's always fun. It's always fun watching tuck sliders. I can't do it, but I do think it is a very fun type of slide to watch. As this third end is working its way towards a blank.
No, it's like a 15-second delay. You call it like you see it, and it all lines up on there. But if you tried to watch this, it wouldn't work.
Small little broom slam there from Patrick Young. Not quite sure.
Because there's so many players.
Him and Q, Eric Queesgard are chuckling. So I imagine he said he wanted to curl it, try to really get that one right on the nose and not roll away.
It's amazing how.
But for the purposes of this end, it does not matter if he got to the nose, rolled a little bit away. We'll see if Chris Dolan decides to watch this one all the way down again. Man. Front knee almost on the ice, elbow almost on the ice, and just sliding all the way down there. That is...
He does do a little bit of this. That's how he keeps it going.
That is impressive. Doing a little bit of the Rich Ruonin, where he kind of pulls himself along with his forearm almost. Now we'll see Patrick Young with the blank attempt for Team RNG. Got to work this one out, get it off the center line to be able to roll out. Decided halfway down they were fine just taking their one. Gets it right on the nose. And Team RNG will go up 2-1 after 3 ends. In this, the final of the TCCA Invitational. For those of you just joining us as we start the 4th end, my name is Connor Kaufman. I'm here with Joe Widmer, and we are watching the final of the Twin Cities Curling Association Invitational, which takes the best 2 teams from each of the 5 member clubs, pits them against each other in kind of a best of the best type tournament. We've been here the last few days, and there's been some exceptional curling to watch. Team Dolan made a very nice draw to the lid in the semifinal this morning to make it into this final. And both teams have really played well all week. That's why they're here in the last game, in the championship game. And so far it's been fun to watch. There's been a lot of well-made shots going back and forth. We had Troy Pullis, Four Seasons Curling Club, TCCA rep, joining us a little bit earlier. Might grab some other people, maybe Darwin, maybe Amanda, some other TCCA representatives, see if they want to hop on a little bit later. This 4th end, a little bit of an interesting start. We played a lot, the first 3 ends, with a lot of guards, a lot of rocks in play. No one really wanting to blank ends from the start, trying to go out and play, make some shots. But this end with Chase Eberling slipping into the rings with his first, Team Dolan decided to hit, and we've been hitting out with Leeds rocks, so we'll see if that continues or if Team RNG after this hit decides to get a little more aggressive, maybe nose this one, keep it out of the rings, kind of force Team Dolan to draw around, get some rocks in play.
Close enough. Score and here's your bronze game. This is for 3-4.
Going around the rings here a little bit, little update. Some of the other sheets on sheet 2. Team Bad Wolves out of the Four Seasons Curling Club is up 4-2 on Team Lichtig out of St. Paul. They're in the 4th end. On sheet 3, Team Starkey out of Four Seasons down 0-2 to Team Turan from Chaska Curling Club. They are in the 3rd end with just a couple rocks remaining. Sheet 6, Team Mentor out of Dakota up 3-0 on Team Downs out of Frog Down.
6-0 on Mentor.
Excuse me. They're in the 4th end now. Team Mentor actually stole another 3 in the 3rd. They're up 6-0 on Team Downs out of Frogtown Curling Club. And our bronze medal match on sheet 4.
I'm just looking at bronze right there. Bronze.
Excuse me, I misspoke. Sheet 4, not the bronze medal game. That is on sheet 3. But sheet 4 in a very tight one between Team Adair out of the Dakota Curling Club and Team Silverness out of Frogtown. Silverness up 3-2 after 3 ends. And in the overall club standings currently, the Chaska Curling Club is in 1st place with 5 points. The St. Paul and Four Seasons Curling Clubs are tied at 4 points apiece. And Dakota and Frogtown in a battle for 4th, 5th with 1 point apiece. teams getting points for their respective curling clubs based on their finishes in games throughout the week here. Myself, a member of both the Chaska and Four Seasons curling clubs. Not exactly sure who I'm rooting for to bring home the trophy this year, bringing home the hardware. This fourth end working its way toward a blank in the same way that the third end was. Little fun fact for those watching. Greg Jamieson used to be the head pro at the Les Bolstad University of Minnesota golf course, where a few summers ago I actually worked. Had a summer job out there. Played a lot of golf. My golf game did not improve, unfortunately, but it was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed that opportunity. Thanks to Greg. As this rock slips, no it doesn't, stays just in the rings, hanging on by a thread. That's going to be a little bit tough for Eric Quisgaard to get all the way out there and make sure this one goes. I'd expect him to not underthrow this. Anytime you're getting a little bit wide on the sheet, you want to make sure to keep the weight up in case there's a little bit of frost or if it's a path that hasn't been played very much. Nice normal weight coming down here for Team RNG. And just good enough. Again, that's why you want to keep the weight up there. If he underthrew that just a little bit, you might have seen that rock over curl and give Team Dolan a chance to draw the other side and set up there too. As we sit here watching this fourth end, I'll try to gather some other fun facts about our players, if I can find any. We're playing a little bit of, I don't know, what would you call it? Hot potato a little bit with the mics here. We got a couple of them that have varying degrees of charged. But that one just rolls out. And Team Dolan going to make this one interesting. Try to throw the freeze on the yellow rock here.
That stone is out, yes.
So if they can make the freeze, would make Patrick Young's hit to give them the blank a little bit tougher.
You missed in the draw earlier today. Team Dolan had a stone closer than that yellow is right now. And both Skips and me and Eric in the commentating booth spent about 7 stones wondering if it was in or not. Actually ended up, Taryn was forced to do a hit. He was able to do that, so we never actually got to see. It never really became a situation where we got to measure it. So we'll never know.
Darn, I would have loved to. It's always nice to have a little biter bar measure.
Yeah.
Stuart Taryn playing over on sheet 3 against Team Starkey Nickel. This freeze is looking pretty dang close. If they can get it to go a little more. Not a bad attempt at all by Chris Dolan. Will be a very makeable shot for Patrick Young, Team RNG. But not a bad attempt by any stretch of the imagination. Again, being out here on the wings, we've thrown a couple rocks, so I can't imagine the path is too frosty, but still got to make sure to keep the weight up. You are not worried about keeping this yellow rock in play. You are only worried about getting rid of this red rock. Eric Quistgaard working really hard on this one. I think they're going to try to get it low over the top of the yellow.
Good.
And good enough.
Yeah, good adjustment there. Saw the overcurl early and took a pause on the sweep and had him come on right again at the end. So nice line call there.
Good plan B, and now decision time for Team Dolan. Do they want to draw for their single and be tied after the 4th, maintain hammer in the even ends, or throw it through the rings, blank the 4th end, and keep the hammer, even though they'd be down a point?
I'm 50-50.
Yeah,
I actually wasn't able to come up with an answer. I thought I would have something, but
it's a little bit personal preference, I would say. However, I know the stats on the World Curling Tour, at least, heavily favor taking your blank instead of your single.
I'm sure we've been all learning those stats. What are the stats on the Twin Cities curling circuit for? I think I take this shot, and I think Chris is doing the same. I think if he was going to throw it out, he would have thrown it harder than that. So,
I think the TCCA, that's what you got to get on for this next year, Joe.
also, bonus point for intimidation on drawing the lid,
With no sweeping whatsoever.
and you tie the game up in the going into the 5th. So, all around, yeah, I say 51% do exactly what Chris Dolan just did. In the game before this, Dolan had a really clean scoreboard. It was he had hammer 3 times before the 8th, deuce, deuce, deuce. Team Taryn had to work a little harder to get it, and ultimately needed to steal 2 at the end. So curling math worked in Dolan's favor all the way to the end. Did technically score 1 in the end, but that was all he needed. So he's not shy about going for the deuce and getting it, but in that situation, he thought 1 is all I need to keep this game going the way I want it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good scoreboard management there. I was out at the Club Nationals out in Milwaukee at the Milwaukee Curling Club about a month ago now, and I got talking with Chris Sherry out of the Seattle. The Granite Curling Club out in Seattle. He was my coach back when I played U18s, and I think he's working on a book right now, actually. And I forget exactly what he calls it, but I think he calls it something to the tune of 2 Deuces.
That's a provocative title. Yeah.
His point being that if you score 2 twice in a game, assuming you get 4 hammers and you score 2 twice with the hammer, you win like 90+% of your curling games.
Love it.
So look for that. Don't know where that's at in the process, but I know he's.
I think with that promotion right there, whether he was going to name it that or not, now I think he's kind of forced into naming this book 2 Deuces.
I'll let him know that I need
deuces?
my split.
2 Deuces and then a subtitle, and Cruise to Victory. Or something like that.
I'll let him know that I need some royalties on every book sold.
I mean, humble brag that you know someone that can write a book. That's pretty. Actually, I know Joe Ingersoll. Do you know him?
Can't say I can remember the name off the top of my head.
He's a former Frogtown president. He's super involved in stuff around here. He wrote a book.
Yeah?
Something about stones.
Yeah?
We'll get one of these other members to find it. But yeah, he wrote it's a sort of comically inspired story about his cat and learning to curl or curling culture or something. It's for sale in the Frogtown gift shop or pro shop.
I may have to check that out. That sounds like a good read.
This is also a bit of a heat check on Joel Ingersoll, making sure that he's watching the TCCA Invitational Championship.
Yeah, you're going to text him after and be like, hey, trivia question, did I or did I not say your name on the stream this afternoon?
Something that you and him have in common is you were both guests on one of the 6 episodes of Channel 7 Club Curling.
Yes.
So, anyone curious can find the podcast somewhere near the middle there. So you'll find Joel Ingersoll. We talk about his book, and I did a funny thing to him. I went on Amazon and I found any 1-star reviews it had, and I put them up on the screen and read them back to him. Somebody called him very verbose or something like that.
Verbose, wow.
He's like, wow, you're writing a book and you talk too much. Like, I think that's how books work. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not quite like a conversation. It's not you then me, you then me. It's a lot of me.
Way too one-sided for me.
All right, now I really have to check that out. That sounds like a hoot.
Yeah, Joel's just a naturally funny dude. He's the perfect pick to write a kind of a funny book about curling and what it means to be a club curler and all that. So,
well, we need the club curlers. As much as I love the competitive side of the game, the club curlers are the lifeblood of our sport.
that's all right. Without us, where would you be? I don't think we get appreciated enough for what we do for you. Sure, you guys devote dozens of hours of practice a week, but for 3 hours every week, I go in and drink beer with my friends, and I think that deserves a little bit more credit.
I know you say that in jest, but without the club curlers out in Seattle that helped me throughout the years where I was growing up, I mean, I wouldn't be in Minnesota. I wouldn't be curling competitively.
And I mean, not to look too far in the future, but someday every competitive curler is just a club curler.
Yeah, at a certain point, we all get told we can't do it competitively anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that being said, the U.S. was well represented with seniors this particular week with Margie Smith and Farbelo getting the bronze in men's senior with your buddy Rich.
Yeah,
Which is pretty cool.
yeah.
So you're not, but that is kind of walking the line. Those are very involved club curlers that also just curl at a high level.
Yes. The lead for that Farbelo team, Darren Leto, played with my dad at the Senior Worlds actually a few years back. Went skiing with Darren actually back in February out to Big White over in British Columbia up in Canada.
Oh, very cool.
That was a fun trip. Real quick, I pulled it up for the stats nerds out there who are listening to our talk about is it better to blank that fourth end or take one. Your starting win percentage going into that end, if you were Team Dolan, was 42%. Taking one puts you at 40.5, and blanking puts you at 41.5. So about 1% different. So
So when I said
take that for what you will.
yeah, it's well within the margin of error.
Yeah, well within the.
That also doesn't have the "we're not competitive curlers" multiplier force effect of probably
Yeah.
whatever you think you're going to make, from that shot going forward. I do like getting a chance to throw an open draw. Is always going to end up being a net positive.
Yes.
If the odds of those two scenarios are so similar, why not give yourself an opportunity to clock a draw to the button rather than clock a normal takeout? So
I agree. I cannot say enough about the confidence it gives you as a skip or you as a sweeper to have an open draw that doesn't mean a ton, and you're able to just put it right on the lid. It gives your skip a lot of confidence knowing, hey, when we need this one in the 7th, 8th end, I got this dialed.
it did give Chris Dolan an opportunity to just really stare down the other team too, which he did. He scooted backwards on his slider, staring down as if I'm coming for you, RNG. To which I saw a little bit of a shake. I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe Team RNG blinking first in this championship final.
Speaking of which, if these guys could update the scoreboard, that would be helpful. But we are looking at a tie right now.
Luckily, we were here for the 4th end, so we do know what happened. This end shaping up very similar to the last two. After starting with a lot of rocks in play in ends 1 and 2, I'm not sure if both teams maybe got a little bit scared, maybe got a little, hey, we had some trouble there that we had to get out of. We don't love that.
Yeah.
So playing a bit more conservative here.
So Dolan opportunity here to hit the open yellow, and tough to see how he gets too much separation here, but would leave a really tough double, but put some pressure on Team RNG. How they're either going to blank or manufacture a deuce out of this.
Yeah, leaving that red in the rings, especially if Team Dolan can hit this and roll to shooter's left here. Try to split these red rocks a little bit, make the double back tough. Although this one looks like it's going to be rolling right on top of the other red.
Yep. Definitely some separation there. Double is definitely there.
For those curious, Seth King actually texted me the link to the book
Nice.
that we were talking about. It is called Bare Bones Stones,
There you go.
a welcome guide to curling.
I thought it was Deuce Deuce. We talked about 2 books, so. Yeah, Bare Bones Stones. Joel Ingersoll. How's he doing on Amazon reviews so far? What's
He
up?
is at 4.45 out of 20-some reviews.
I misspoke. He doesn't have any 1-star reviews. He still has a 1 2-star. Let's see if it's still there. That one is gone. There's a 3-star. Doesn't seem to be popping up. Where are all the bad reviews?
Yeah, who wants to read good reviews?
Yeah.
I want bad ones.
I think the moral of this story is that it's a well-reviewed book. Oh, here we go. 4 reviews.
Oh, 22 ratings and 4 reviews. That's what we're missing.
Okay, the first review. Every curler should read this. New or grizzled veteran. You're a grizzled veteran.
Hard to be grizzled at age 23, I think.
Okay, here's my conspiracy theory. There are only 4 reviews and they're all great. I think Joel, after the podcast, lobbied to have it taken down. He called up his man Bezos and he was like, get this garbage out of here.
Get this crap off of my book.
So last review will reference whether you're watching Olympic curling or want to know what's up or getting into the sport, this is a great place to start. Short, easy to understand, funny, and interesting. Would definitely recommend. Bare Bones Stones by Joel Ingersoll and his cat. His cat apparently is a.
Did he credit his
prominent feature
cat
in that,
on the in the notes?
It's like on the cover. It's a reoccurring character. Anytime you zoom with Joel, too, his cat wants to be part of it in the conversation. So he would be kind of remiss to edit out the cat.
So it's written by his cat, and then him as well is what I'm hearing.
Ghost written by Toonces, the curling cat. Really steep double here. I don't see them taking this on. So really just a matter of talking about the slash, also talking about hitting and rolling behind.
Yeah, like you said, it's quite steep. If you're going to throw it, I think you can't throw it as the shooter double. I think you'd have to hit it center line side, run the red rock back into the other red.
Yeah.
I know if you're team RNG here, you'd love to get out of this with a blank or a deuce, but I don't know how realistic that is. I think I'd be trying the hit and roll.
Yeah, I think I'm hitting and rolling, trying to group the stones, and because he does have one more after this, he could maybe double and blank there, but
That is true.
I think if you just hit this and you're not shot, he's going to split that house and make it really tough.
Talking about cats that help write books. I don't know if you've heard about this before, but there was this guy, J.H. Hetherington, who wrote, I think, some physics papers.
Yeah.
And his cat spent a ton of time, like, talking with him while he was writing these papers. So he credited his cat on the paper. And to this day, sometimes when people are writing physics papers, they will credit FDC Willard for his contributions to the subject. And I think it's kind of fun. Cats getting involved have been around many years.
Does make the hit. Does manage to roll the shot, but I see Team Doran take care of this, and it looks like the force is on.
Little unfortunate on where that rolled to, I think, for Team RNG. I believe if Team Dolan noses this yellow, I don't think that Patrick Young is going to be able to nose back for the one. He will have to hit and roll or draw.
Yeah, I like that. That's a great point. And I think they were aware that just didn't get the roll that they wanted. I like on these important shots we see Chris Dolan go into jungle cat mode. Like he's stalking a bird in a bush.
All right, I believe it's just enough of a roll that they could nose for the single.
I agree. I think a nose would count. I think that's what you go for. Any little flop either way is going to be shot rock. So.
Castle's Danger.
Shout out to the TCCA board who is just enjoying a game. They've got some time to grab me a beer. It's so far away.
Yeah. I mean, that 10 feet walking back to the bar is really a trek, isn't it?
These microphones have been so fussy, and there is a range to them. I would hate to see what happens if I left that range and then tried to reconnect. So I'm really glued to this seat for now.
Yeah, I mean, it's really for the viewers. You want to make sure they get the best experience.
The continuity,
and,
yeah.
You know, having to leave and hope it doesn't disconnect would be unfair to them, really.
Let's see if we're right here.
Right on the beak.
Yep. I think we got confirmation that is good for one there.
Team RNG takes the lead. They'll be up 3-2 after 5 ends in a very tight battle here in the championship game of the TCCA Invitational.
Really seems like we got two teams that aren't making their moves yet. We're not seeing the corner play yet. It seems like that center guard goes up and both skips have been fine drawn around, so we'll see if that changes here.
Yeah.
How hard is Dolan going for a deuce on this one? 6N, want to score, but do they need to score 2?
I think if it's me, you'd love a 2, but you're not in a bad spot, right? You're only down 1. If you get forced in 6, you're tied with 2 to play. You'll get hammer in 8. That's a good spot. If you blank, you can take your 2 and 7, and then you're in a good spot as well. Yeah. I think that I'd be pushing a little bit. This rock not being perfect, I'd probably throw a corner guard and try to, or hit and roll to a corner guard, and try to get a little bit aggressive in this end.
Actually calling to come around it, so kind of a plan C from what we've been discussing. It's going to be a short run back, whatever he ends up leaving here. So
yeah, and this not a bad call either. Keep rocks in the middle. To me, this says they're okay not getting aggressive in 6. They're fine playing how they've been. If they get the single, that's fine. If a blank presents itself, they'll take the blank. Working real hard on this one is Greg Jameson and Max Smith, trying to get by this guard. Does get around and fully top 12 foot.
presuming nose hit here.
Whoa, this one almost looked like it grabbed something. That turned in really early. Turns out it's completely fine. I got excited over nothing. That one just looked like it, almost like it hit a footprint or something.
So I think Chris has to be a little careful here. I don't believe that second shot is on the rings. He's calling for peel weight.
Yeah, would need that yellow one to stick around. We will.
Bob's over here saying that both yellows are in the ring, so I trust his eyes better than mine. Definitely not the peel weight that I was thinking, so.
Could be just trying to get rid of one yellow, keep the shooter around as a corner guard, move this other yellow away a bit. Well, it'll kill the top yellow, which I'm pretty sure, this will be interesting. I'm pretty sure Patrick Young thought that one was out.
Putting it right back, yeah.
So he'll be putting those back.
Really nothing that Chris can do to argue with that. It's really up to the other skip to say that I believe it was on, so I think a bit of a miscue there.
I think there might be a disagreement about it.
Yeah.
Because I think Chris is pretty sure he wanted to blow it out. But I think Chris thought it was on.
I mean, I don't, from the way they're acting, it doesn't seem to me like Chris believed it was on. He seemed like he kind of
Yeah, I saw Chris
understood right away.
Right at the beginning, I saw him go up, put the broom on it, and sort of do the blow it up, and they sure did. But yeah, the other team didn't agree, and it was never really verified before.
Yeah.
You know, I suppose that goes into that gray area where sometimes you need to look at the other skip and say, "I'm calling that in. Are you seeing the same thing I am?" And you get that nod, and you kind of settle that before you throw the shot. So we'll see if that comes back to haunt Dolan. That was an opportunity missed.
Yeah, we've definitely had some awkward situations before on our team and other teams I've played on where you think something's on and you don't confirm it, and then someone blows it up, and then all hell breaks loose. So
Yeah.
We on our team have been very specific about, hey, if it's even close, confirm, get a verbal from the other skip that you agree on where the rock is.
Yeah.
This time, however, there's no 5-rock rule in effect. And Max Smith will be able to blow this up without any repercussions.
I'd be curious to see, if they ended up stacking these two the same spot that they were. It looks like they're a little bit more on top of each other than they were. Let's see if Max can get the same movement.
This one over curling slightly. Now that yellow rock is very well and truly in the rings, I can say with some confidence.
Yeah, but what about the red?
No 5-rock rule anymore. It doesn't matter.
In terms of a biter, though, when the dust settles on this end. Yeah, Chaska is apparently working on their top-down cameras. They thought they might have them for this event. They came up a little short on getting that done. So I think all curling fans can be ready for Chaska to have 4 cameras on every sheet, 2 kind of perspective cameras that we're using now, and as well as 2, house-looking, top-down cameras.
That's exciting. Streaming becoming such a big part of the game nowadays. Being able to watch almost every game played at almost every event on tour.
Yeah, I was telling viewers on the last stream, Dakota has had their curling stadium set up for about a month now. And I think that brings us to all 5 of our clubs streaming essentially all games with, a level of streaming that we've kind of come to expect in the curling stadium era. So, hooray for us.
Yeah, curling stadium. Those guys over there, John Benton, Cam Rittenauer, Jerry Gertz, and some others who I'm forgetting to mention, I'm sure. They do a very good job. And like you said, I think it's been great, especially for us playing on tour, being able to not have to film your own games.
Yeah.
Being able to have others, parents back home, grandparents back home, be able to watch when you're playing is nice. Being able to go back and rewatch games and do a little bit more film review, film analysis has been very helpful. Because I don't know if anyone watching is like me, but by the time we get to the end of a game, someone will say, "Oh yeah, in the third end with your second rock, we should have done this." And I'm like, "What's a third end? I don't even know. What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
So that's been nice to help jog my memory.
I've always appreciated, our games at Frogtown being streamed. I'll make one good shot every night. I like to go back and watch it. The kids that we're coaching on the juniors, they file it away. They're putting together a reel tape. I bet you guys in the pros are doing this too. Putting together your good shots in case you ever got to go to the free market and you can send a prospective team.
Give a little bit of the highlight reel.
Here's 2 minutes of me just throwing centerline guards, and sweeping my ass off. Yeah.
Here's my Max Preps film.
Thank you much.
That's funny. I know too. Some of like you were saying, some of the juniors. I think that's also helpful. Like if you can watch that before games, or especially if you're in a little bit of a slump here and there, just as a good reminder of like, hey, I know how to do this.
I like that. Yeah.
Because it can be tough, especially we play a dozen events on tour all season long. You play hopefully 5, 6, 7 games a week. There are going to be highs, there are going to be lows, and being able to put something like that together to help with those low times. I might have to do that. I might steal that idea and just take a bunch of videos of me just making centerline guards in games.
Yeah. Just a highlight reel, a Connor highlight reel.
I promise people watching there's at least 2 videos out there of me doing it. I don't know about after that, but
I was in Denver for I did the U5 there. I did 3 this year. That was my last one, and I got paired up with a group of guys from Denver that I'd never met. We didn't we didn't blow anyone away. We went 1-3 in pool play. But in one of those games, we were getting absolutely obliterated. I made just an impossible corner raise, which really couldn't even come in with any heat. It had to just kind of lie to rest at the button, and it made it. And I sort of was operating on the assumption that all modern clubs had streaming, so I said, I can't wait to watch that shot. And they go, no, you've got to be on sheet 4 or whatever it is to get.
Brutal.
Yeah. So thanks a lot, Denver.
Jeez, Denver Curling Club, get with the times.
Yeah, it's funny because they clearly prioritize that they've got a setup in their warm room with all the AV equipment. Commentators have a little booth or an area cordoned off. So they comment on games quite a bit. But for whatever reason, they're kind of delayed on getting all their sheets streaming. So I don't know which direction is the best, to stream all your games first or to have the media center first. But they've kind of gone that route. But it is kind of cool. They'll just have people jump in and off of commentating all game long, and you can tell there's people that are just club members doing it. It's kind of fun.
That is fun. I like getting people involved, especially club guys involved. Let them do some of the announcing. Nice hit and stick there.
I promise our viewers they're not watching Scotland versus Sweden. This does look like a very technical game with each team bending over backwards to blank. But these teams in the 3 draws before this have been forced to build really strong ends. So this forced to 1 point. Actually, you know what? It is interesting. There isn't a blank on the board. It has been forces all around.
I was gonna say we've set up like probably half the ends. Three ends looked like blanks, and we just haven't been able to have any. So, like you said, it's been blanks back and forth. No steals, no deuces scored.
See if Dolan can lock this one on and really put some pressure on. Maybe manufacture a deuce with what he's got here.
Going back to your question earlier about how hard do you try for 2 in this 6th end, I think Dolan's answering the question right now with that Yellow Rock being in the rings, deciding to play the freeze, try to get their deuce out of this. Whoa.
Players are looking at it quite long. From here, it looks like it's yellow.
I would agree that it looks like yellow from here, but
I think we'll know in a second with this next shot.
It's yellow, you split that out.
I
I
agree.
think Team RNG thinks the same thing.
Yeah. Must be apparently yellow because RNG is opting to split here.
Man. Just a very, very slight mistake there from Team Dolan. That one curls a little less, sweep it a little bit more, and you got yourself a real good look at 2. As it sits, if RNG can make the draw, go pretty much as far away from that yellow rock as they can while maintaining shot rock or second. They will be in a good spot to force for the 6th end in a row.
I think they should really aim for being shot rock on this. The difference between 2nd and 3rd would be pretty tight, but we'll see. I don't see this landing in a spot where Dolan has an obvious double. So I think the prophecy will continue to be true, and we will see force 1s all through this game until the end.
The question's going to be if this is, on the tee line or a little above the tee line, there will be a makeable double there. So if this doesn't get very deep, there is a chance Dolan has, mind you, a tough double, but a double. It'll be interesting to see if he elects to go for it.
Does make full 12-foot. Crosshouse, pretty steep double. Didn't see much deliberation, so it's tough to know what they're calling out of hand here.
Believe he's just calling the hit and stick, so that yellow one obviously got far enough that he can hit it and be one. Didn't look for very long, so I can't imagine it's super close.
Yeah, from here it looks like a nose hit. You're more than half on that 12, so. Really love to get to the low side, if not nose here. So we do have our first steal.
Wow. No, and just getting away from him just a bit. It's not confirmed that it's a steal yet. They could throw a stick on it. All right, we'll have our first measure of the game.
I don't see any players from either team really being certain on this, so probably a good chance, good opportunity to throw the stick on it, because I think with this being ambiguous, it really sort of puts even more focus on how important that miss was, because the opportunity to score two would have been just huge here.
Yellow from what they played.
This is where these the overhead cameras would be nice.
Yeah, but much like a Canadian Max's head would be in the way, and man, that thing looked like it bent on yellow.
Yeah, that.
I like Max's shove to the middle there, makes it clear for us, so it ends up being a steal of one. Kind of the most dramatic movement we've seen in this game so far. RNG does take a 2-point lead.
And now if you're Team Dolan, pressure's on a little bit. We'll see a few more rocks in play as they really got to push a little harder for their 2 points in this end.
Does seem like Greg Jameson, as he's preparing for Max's first throw here, a little wind out of his sails. I think he realizes what he just saw and how this is going to make their life harder here.
Yeah, I mean, oftentimes in these tight games where you're trading ones back and forth, the first steal or the first 2-point score can be the telling factor. But now it is going to be on Team Dolan to try to push a little bit and score there too. But at the same time, Team RNG can't take their foot off the gas. Can't, let a breath out and assume that there's going to be that's enough of a lead and they can really be okay with that. They got to make sure to make their shots in 7 and 8. As we have our first final over on sheet 6. Team Mentor out of the Dakota Curling Club takes down Team Downs out of the Frogtown Curling Club 8-1 in 6 ends.
Team Mentor played the other Frogtown team, Silverness, in the first draw and mounted an incredible 1-7. They were down 1-7, mounted a comeback on that, and stole in the 8th to win. So Mentor making the most out of their time here and really laying a paddle to Frogtown. I think this could be the birth of a Dakota Frogtown rivalry, if not expanding upon one that's already there. So congratulations to them for showing up. Team Adair, the other Dakota team, is in control in their game too. They're up 5-3 in the 6th. So we'll keep you updated on that too, and they're applying pressure in the 6 as well. So could be a strong finish for Dakota. We've been reminding viewers that of the 5 clubs, the first 4 were all able to send their 1 and 2. Dakota has their end of the year bonspiel de Cinco de Mayo going on this weekend, and actually had commitments from their number 1 and 2 teams to play them. And so they scrambled a little bit to find teams. So for Dakota's teams that weren't necessarily 1 and 2 in their clubs to come here and make some noise is actually pretty impressive. It's a great showing.
Yeah, most definitely. It can be tough playing against the top teams at other clubs if you aren't, necessarily the top team, at least this season, at your own club. So glad they were able to find some teams to send. Not quite the same event if you don't have, your 2 representatives from everywhere.
Sure.
Quick update on the bronze medal match over on sheet 3. They are playing the 5th end with Team Turan out of Chaska up 4-2 on Team Starkey Nickel. And then on sheet 2, locked in a very, very tight battle, tied at 6 apiece after 6 ends, with Team Lichtig out of St. Paul having hammer in 7. And like we talked about going into this 7th end, a few more rocks in play. Team Dolan really trying to put the pedal down a little bit and score their 2.
Yeah, Team Dolan unable to really bury that corner under the guard, and Team RNG summarily taking it out. So we'll see if Dolan can get one more, a little more buried this time.
This one riding the center line a little bit, starts to go now. Might need to finish towards the end.
It could be a really well-managed stone. Sweepers didn't really have to hit it until after the break, and yeah, very, very good shot, well buried.
That is a great rock, as we say, sweeper's favorite stone, one of those. Don't have to do a whole lot of sweeping, a little bit at the end, just manage it in.
Yeah.
But don't have to work too hard.
I was in the hand, far hand, I could see the clock. And I went 10 seconds. Oh, wow. And I sort of start bringing the rock back.
Team RNG will elect to just peel the corner guard, try to make sure that they don't give Dolan a chance to score any more than 2. 2 points is still an acceptable result. And boy, get kind of a 2-for-1 on the peel there. Roll into a center guard, as well as getting the red corner out of the way.
I think Dolan's going to have to deal with this staggered center here sooner rather than later, but he is sort of he's toying with the idea of coming around and sitting on top of shot, but
with the way it sits currently, I think I'd be throwing the freeze, as he's talking about right now. I think the hard part with, even if you make the double peel, your red rock on the corner there is going to be completely exposed. Team RNG hits that, and I don't really know how you score your 2 points. I think you got to try to use the guards while you have them. Guards are your friend when you're losing. Throw the freeze here, and or the hit and roll. That would work as well. Just something to get 2 red rocks in the rings, make it so that Team RNG has to think at least a little bit about what they want to play.
Tough to know what Dolan's calling here because he's showing Broom for almost like a hack weight on shot stone here.
Yeah, we will find out. This one running a little bit. Max Smith really trying to work it over, get to the yellow rock in the rings.
Great line call.
Greg Jameson makes a beauty.
Took real guts to call that line on there. Sweeping for curl all the while getting closer and closer to those center guards. So real gutsy line call by Dolan. Great shot. Did hit a bit high side, bounced a bit open. It looks like they can see more than half of it. So expect RNG to play something on this stone.
Could play something a little more down weight, try to get inside those guards. Don't know if it's curling quite enough.
Yeah, I think with Dolan's last shot, they got close to nose. I think with how this kind of flopped into the open, I like your call, down weight and actually cross the face and get under those guards.
Really want to avoid rolling away if at all possible. Would open it up for Dolan to hit and roll, stay out on the wing there, and then really does make it an easy 2. Working hard to get this one over. Gets to just high of nose. Would have loved to get a little more curl out of that, but all things considered, not a terrible result. Team Dolan, I believe, will look to roll away. Skips right, shooters left. Try to make any sort of double impossible and make Team RNG really make a decision. This one curling. Got to get by the guard. Will click the center guard, try to roll into the rings, does not get it. And that makes the decisions a little easier, I think, for Team RNG. Patrick Young getting overruled by the rest of his team there. He was thinking about throwing the tap, trying to potentially work a little harder for a steal. His team telling him, hey, just hit the red rock, and I don't know how we give up 2. And we'll be up 1 with going into the 8th end. I think that's a good position anybody would want to be in.
We're sitting behind the front end right now, and we can see the scoreboard. They can see the scoreboard. He's looking this way. Not looking at the scoreboard. They're saying, hey, we're up by 2. It's the 7th end. Let's hit the open one. Might get a good roll here. Really tough to give up 2 if we hit what we can see.
I would agree. It can be easy when you're skipping to lose sight sometimes of what the score is or what the end goal is. I find myself doing that every so often. This one worked hard to curl and did hang around on the rings. That is important. If they rolled out, it would give Team Dolan a chance to maybe try to turn this into a blank and be down 2 with in the 8th end. Try again for their 2 points.
It's sort of a compounding scenario, but down 2 going into the 8th and needing a deuce and then needing to steal. Now you're combining two scenarios for 2 ends. Or do you score when you can, or I say score now and steal 1. But steal now, I'm sorry, let me
Score now.
Score now, steal 1, force the extra. I don't know. I think going into the 8th down 2 is a scenario I'm not sure many people at this level are super comfortable with, but we do get some sloppier houses with more rocks in play. Big ends do come up. This game has been kind of unique in the way that it's developed, and lots of steals, lots of forces, or I should say no steals, all forces. scores of 1, so. Opportunity to apply a lot of pressure to Team Dolan here.
Definitely opportunity to, like you said, apply some pressure. If they make this one around the center guard good, I think you are going to find it very tough if you're Team Dolan to even score.
Sweepers are panicking a bit here. Does lie full 8, so Dolan does have a bit of a scoring area to work with. Looks like he's thinking about coming around on the outturn side.
And the unfortunate part about where that yellow rock ends up, only showing half on the intern side. If Team Dolan can make a good draw around here, put this one top 4, top button, fully under the yellow, they would lose the ability to run that yellow rock in.
Yeah.
If you were going to be that high, you almost would prefer it under curls, leaves full open, and then you got a nice easy run back later.
Yeah. So Chris Dolan hoping to make this stagger work for him and manufacture a skip's deuce here. We know he can draw the 4-foot. I really think he's gonna find pay dirt on one of these draws, and we'll have to see what RNG does to take that away. I think you're right. I think the amount of curl on that last throw and it come out light sort of handcuff Team RNG on what they're going to be able to do if Dolan's able to park one here on the top 4. So opportunity is back on for Team Dolan after kind of a disastrous 5th there, so, or 6.
Yep.
6 that just didn't work in his favor.
So big first shot. If he makes this one good, as you said, suddenly a lot of pressure on Team RNG. This one, sweepers have not touched it the whole time.
On it now for line. Just misjudged. Never really touched by sweepers for it to come up light and crash like that.
And Chris Dolan showing his sweeper at the end there. Hey, you can be back 4, you can even be back 8 foot as long as we're shot.
Yeah.
But now, unfortunate there in decisions for Team RNG. Now you're just having the conversation of, hey, what can we do that's going to be the least risky? You know, not hurt ourselves at all. We're in a good spot.
I think Dolan's last shot is maybe only an 1/8 stone peeking out, but I think they have to be sort of careful that he could come down with maybe some back 12 weight and hit his red and possibly have both the shooter and his other red stone stay in the 8 foot and potentially score.
Yeah.
I really only see that being Dolan's opportunity for 2.
Yeah, my first thought was throw the guard. Guard the hit on the yellow rock, top 8 foot. Just give Team Dolan the draw with the outturn side. I don't know if you can split that red on for 2 and go up 1 into the 8th end with hammer.
Yeah, I think you're right. The stones aren't as hooked as I thought they were. Yellow is open here. I think Chris is going to be looking to hit the half that he can see of this yellow and get his 2 that way. So guarding this intern side makes a ton of sense. Make Chris draw for 1 and really play aggressive to keep the front open on the 8th.
Let's see, Patrick Young, his last in the 7th end. Up 2 without hammer. In a good spot to force Team Dolan.
His broom was almost for the draw path for the button, and he's really trying to cover the outside of that yellow. So I'm hoping he does an under curl. Maybe he can tick off his own and cover it that way. Did leave a bit of a port there. I'll have to wait till we can see, but I think it's go time for the port run for 2. I don't know when else you do it.
I don't think you have another option, really. I think you got to make this and go tied to 8.
The port does look like it's pretty 2 level stones. I think he can come at it with either turn. He's obviously got his own red on the right, so my guess is you're coming at it with the out turn. And
I like the out turn. You do need to curl with that red rock being above the yellow.
yeah,
You
and
do need to curl a little bit past the red if possible.
as the skips have kind of gotten out of the way, we can see the hit stone is a little bit on to the left. So you come to the out turn, go for nose, and
Big shot here. This could be to keep yourself in the game for Chris Dolan. Last rock, 7th end. Out turn, hit onto the yellow rock, top 8 foot. Line looks very close. Sweeper's working hard. It's real nice. Will it get by the red one? Oh! Just barely clicks the red rock, top 8 foot. Keeps the yellow in the rings for 1. That will be a steal of 1 for Team RNG. And down 3, Team Dolan goes into the 8th.
very good attempt there.
They had to get off at the end to let it come up a little bit.
Yeah, I think the consensus here is maybe a little overswept and swept in a direction that wasn't helping it curl the curl that it needed to get. So good attempt either way.
Now Chase Eberling will be asked to put this rock top 4 foot. We talk a lot on our team about in these situations, up 3, really trying to not take your foot off the gas. Really try to make this one really good. You know, full top 4, split the center line, and put pressure on them right from the start. And while it's not splitting the center line, that is a very nice start. That is a rock that Team Dolan is going to have to deal with eventually. It's a rock they can't ignore for the whole end. And it will be putting pressure onto that team come, thirds rocks, skips rocks.
Corner guard coming up. Chris comes out to help sweep, really try to finish this thing over into a usable spot.
Is guard perhaps a little close to the center line for their purposes?
RNG calling this shot right on top of their other.
Again, like I said, don't want to take these shots off. Want to make 2 good ones here and put pressure on Dolan early. This one looks a little heavy, but it is curling in okay. And that'll be just fine. Bumps the yellow one, splitting the T line. Shooter goes to be just touching the 4 foot, splitting the center. Now Dolan deciding if you throw the draw, do you throw another guard? Do you play the hit and roll? A couple different options here with that red guard being as high as it is.
I think if you're coming under this corner, you should be hitting, even if it's down weight, you should be moving stuff backwards. I think they're lined up, almost favoring that, but
Yeah, the tough part is you could throw the hit and roll and it sounds great. Try to get one of these yellows out because you don't want yellows around later. Hard part is what's easier to place, the hit and roll perfect or the draw under the corner guard. As it so happens, they did call the tight guard, try to go little double corner setup. Someone's got to go just a little bit to not leave an easy double peel later. Not bad. Not exactly what they wanted, but the double peel is going to be a little bit awkward later. I think Team RNG is going to elect to throw a center guard on this one. Nice and tight, maybe even slip into the top 12 foot.
I don't know, would you ever go, it seemed like you kind of indicated there, would you ever go to forget the center and maybe stay close to center but choke off that path that they might be looking to come down to get under the staggered corner?
Yeah, I think that by throwing a center guard, you choke that path off with the outturn.
Yeah.
They still have it with the intern, obviously, but even if they make it once with the intern, they still have 2 yellow rocks in the forefoot that they got to deal with at some point. Don't think there's space there for 2. So I like this. If you're yellow here, if you're Team RNG, you're in the driver's seat right now. Team Dolan has to move some granite, so don't make anything easier for them. You know you're going to be throwing a peel probably on your next rock,
Right.
so make them move some rocks around. This one coming in a little hot from Chris Scott. Eric Quisgard trying to work it over just to hit the yellow one on the tee line, slow it down a bit. Patrick Young not overly happy with that result.
I like that he's electing to hit. He has to hit, but he's not calling for anything too crazy. He's calling for back 12 weight. You know, if you're going to move a yellow, you might as well put it into a beneficial spot where it'll act as a catcher as you try to pile up points later. So
Exactly. Try to build a wall in the back 4, back 8 foot. And if you make it nice, you will have this shooter going to be under cover, sitting probably 3rd, maybe 4th count. This one making a move already. Does it have the weight to push it back? Rings, not quite, but does get under cover for, I believe, 3rd count. So not a bad outcome. Especially this double peel, a little awkward.
yeah,
It could end up sending the 2nd red back into your rocks in the rings.
yeah. I think to make this safely, you almost have to go nose on the top, and you don't even want to do that because you're just putting your shooter right back where that was. So.
Other school of thought here is you are sitting 2. You could throw the center guard, try to make it this time, and tell Team Dolan, hey, you know what? We got 3 guards and 2 rocks in the rings.
Yeah.
Come after us.
Yeah.
You know, find a way to move some granite.
I mean, we keep calling those corner guards. They're barely corners. They're almost centers. So I could see them throwing that additional center guard and saying, you've got a real mess here and one path to really get in here. So I don't hate that, but they are a little scary. They're really the only thing you have to deal with to clean this house up and cruise to victory. So
Gets one, not bad. Update for you. Sheet 3 bronze medal match. Team Terran takes it 7-2 over Team Starkey Nickel. Team Terran out of the Chaska Curling Club. Team Starkey Nickel out of the Four Seasons Curling Club. Well played game, well controlled game there for Team Terran. Only allowed Team Starkey to score in 1 of the 6 ends that were played. That was a 2 in the third. Really benefited by a steal of 2 in 5, and then another steal of 1 in 6 to seal the game. So congrats, Team Terran.
It hit shot rock about 2.5 feet.
Yeah, so Dolan really looking for a down weight tap here. Really committed to making sure that those yellows just move behind the tee line.
Oh, and just wicks the top yellow. Really would have loved to keep that red rock around. As now it gets a little easier for Team RNG to throw the single peel. And if they can go rock for rock the rest of the game, they'll be good. Team Dolan almost needed to let up on that rock, hope it curled a little more, and maybe split the red rock under cover and roll to on top of that yellow. Would have needed to get a good chunk more curl out of that, though. So not sure if that was possible.
So RNG electing to finish what they started, peel this corner, this hybrid center corner that Dolan has been working under.
This corner that we keep calling a corner, even though it's 3 inches off the center line.
Regardless of what it was, it's gone now. So Dolan, with nothing to hide under, really has to utilize these yellow stones to his benefit. Luckily, 2 of them are behind the tee line. If this shot is made, I think you'll see all 3 of them behind, and we'll really see if Dolan can be sitting 1 and or 2 after this.
Yeah, like you said, if you can throw back line here, hit the yellow rock kind of right on the nose, split it back, get both yellows out of the 4-foot would be really nice. Try to make that top 8 red come into play.
Yeah, I think if he gets the nose on this, you create a really wide wall of yellow, pockets abound, and opportunities to kind of freeze stones. So
huge sweep here from Max Smith. This rock, not quite enough weight. Will touch the top yellow, but not push anything behind the tee line as they were hoping for.
I think it's time to start deleting reds. You peeled the guards, and not positive you can get both of these in one swipe, but I think the fear is if you hit this stone on the nose, you do sort of cram the other red into a bit of more of a pocket and a freeze, but at the end of the day, you're deleting stones, and that's the open one.
Yeah, I don't think this is a bad call by any stretch. Hit and roll inside a little bit. I do think you could potentially try to hit the red rock that was just thrown, that's touching the center line, and do the same thing, flop to splitting center, but you don't really want to accidentally kill one of your yellows in the back of the rings here. So play the one that's the most open, roll in, even if you nose it. Team Dolan, again, still needs some help. If RNG goes rock for rock, they will be victorious. Eric Quisgard hit a little thinner on that red than he was trying to. Does give Team Dolan the freeze that they elect to play. But again, with only 3 rocks left, Team Dolan eventually will need to get rid of some of these yellows. You can't play taps and freezes forever. So we will see. Greg Jamieson, his last in the 8th end. Made Max Smith work hard on the one before it, and he is working hard again on this one. This looks to be just over the hog line, going to be just a guard here. And now if Patrick Young can remove this red stone in the 4-foot, they will be victorious. They will be crowned champions of the 2025 TCCA Invitational. Guard isn't too in play, but do still have to be careful. Wouldn't want to accidentally wick that on the way by. Clean release. Falling on him a little bit. Chase Eberling trying to work this one over to get to the nose of the red stone. Hits it high, will jam the rock in the back forefoot. And there's life still for Team Dolan. And more than just life, if they can make this freeze in a good spot, Patrick Young all of a sudden does need to make a decent one on his last. Could potentially throw a guard. We will see. Chris Dolan has come through plenty of times so far this week when his team has needed him. As we said earlier, made a draw to the lid to put his team into this championship final. Comes back down the ice just to get another look here, see if he can't maybe talk about tapping that yellow rock back, give himself a little more space. Sit two on this, make it so that Team RNG, Patrick Young, can't throw the guard.
He's got to be ready for running his own right back in because
he's done it plenty of times before. Can he do it?
no matter what.
Again,
This bounce is open, but
Team Dolan, St. Paul Curling Club. Max Smith has been working hard all game. This one, however, running a little bit hot. Will come in, and they will, I believe, sit two. So still life here for Team Dolan. However, Patrick Young has all of that red rock, and he does not need to be nose or low. He can hit this one anywhere, really, and that back red will go. So here we go. Patrick Young, skip of Team RNG out of the Chaska Curling Club. Last stone, 8th end, up by 3. Just needs to make contact with this red one in the rings. Working hard to get this one to finish. Got to get it to work over a little bit more. And that will be good enough. Team RNG takes the 2025 TCCA Invitational. Team Dolan, second place. And Team Turan, as we said earlier, will take home the bronze medal.
what a game. I mean, we saw a lot of ones, we saw a lot of forces. Really technical game. I'm glad we saw it out of the championship. These really proved to be the top two teams of this field, so I wouldn't expect anything less. So nobody's taking big chunks, nobody's making those mistakes, so really technical, high-level game. Congratulations to both teams. Chaska and St. Paul were well represented by both. A couple shots I think Chris Dolan would like to have back, but well managed. Yeah.
Yeah. Joe, thanks for having me along. I got to run. But
We all got to run. It's 75 degrees out, and the birds are chirping. But thanks to our now 17 viewers for joining us. And Connor Coffin, good luck on the circuit next year. We'll be watching you.
thank you very much.
Thanks for coming down to Chaska, and thanks for watching today, guys. This is the TCCA 2025 Invitational. I'm Joe Widmer, joined by Connor Coffin. Just to remind you, team RNG out of Chaska on their home ice, taking it home. We'll update on Facebook the teams that how it all shook out with the club championship. We do also take note of points to see which club sent us the best two teams, and that wasn't a foregone conclusion by any means. So we do know that the individual championship is going to RNG. 4-pack of custom Dynasty jackets are coming their way, so congratulations to them. Congratulations to Dolan, Team Dolan, for putting up a great fight and making that last rock be thrown. So thanks, guys. This is Joe Widmer, signing off. USB-C, and this is USB-C, and I found a cable in my car. I thought if I had this plugged into this, I could put it here and it would just be charging while I was on it. For some reason, when it's in charge mode, it didn't seem like it. Hi. Didn't seem like it wanted to be on. Okay. So
Stop all the streaming.
So I